Okay, in this section here, we're going to be factoring more polynomials. But in particular, we call this section the factoring of trinomials because there are 3 terms. Let's get started. We have, let me make sure I got the right brush first here. Yeah, looks good. Okay, so we have x squared, and I thought everything was, I always forget that. We have x, that is terrible. Minus 9x plus 14. And we want to factor this. Okay, so this is a little bit different from the last section when it came to factoring. This is kind of a, sometimes a trial and error. What we want to do is take a look at this number here. We'll put an orange under this number. We want to find 2 numbers that we can multiply together that will equal 14. For example, if we had 2 numbers, a times b is equal to 14. And if we add the 2 numbers, a plus b, they need to be equal to, right here, be negative 9. Okay, so we have an equation over here, a times b is equal to 14, and another equation, a plus b is equal to negative 9. Well, sometimes this is easy and sometimes it's not. So let's just pick a couple numbers here and see what happens. Okay, so let's let, what are we going to let? Well, we know 14, so 2 times 7, how's that? We know that 2 and 7 equals 14. And we know that 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. But remember, these 2 numbers right here multiplied together must equal positive 14. So if 2 were negative and 7 were negative, negative 2 and a negative 7, we know that if we add them together we get negative 9, and negative 2 times negative 7 is a positive 14. So now we're going to come over here. X minus 2 times x minus 7. Now, the good news is we can always check our work. So we know how to multiply both these together. Use a different one here, right? We multiply the x times this x, and then x times negative 7, negative 2 times x, and negative 2 times 7. And then once we simplify, we should be getting back what we started with, right? So let's just look. We have x times x, that's x squared, and minus 7x minus 2x, which when added together, minus 7x minus 2x is negative 9x, and negative 2 times negative 7 is positive 14, so there you go. Okay, so this over here on the right is where sometimes the trial and error is, and that's just the way we're learning it right now. Okay, all right, let's take a look at another one. Z squared plus 19z, we'll use a different variable this time, plus 88. So we want to factor this, and I should have wrote an equal sign. And the last one I didn't. So two numbers multiplied together gives us 88, and when we add them, we get 19. What about, draw a little divider line here, 11 and 8? Well, 11 plus 8 is 19, and 11 times 8 is 88. So that was pretty easy. So z plus 8 times z plus 11. Hey, that wasn't too bad. Of course, remember, we can always check our work. All right, looking at another example. X squared, see how fast you can do this one, plus 5x minus 1. Okay, so we need two numbers that when multiplied together is going to give us this negative 1. Can you think of any? Well, this is pretty simple. It's going to have to be a 1 and a negative 1. You see? Because that's the only two numbers you want to multiply together is going to give us a negative 1. 1 times negative 1. But when we add these two numbers together, we get 0. So guess what? We're not going to be able to factor this nicely, right, working with integers. So we're going to just say we can't factor it, right, into integer terms in the expression. All right, that's not going to work. Okay, we'll go ahead and end this tutorial here and pick up in the next one. See you there.